you know what? This is an interesting conversation, and I'm not sure where this is going to go. So this will be a good combo. Anybody that joins us, you have comments, questions, tips, tricks, throw them in the comments. We will try to respond to them as they come up, but they will definitely be on the recorded version. I believe comments go into our recorded episode, and we can also respond to anything if you have questions. But this is an interesting conversation. So you must have some dish on this, but sweaty sockets. Now, it is a little bit later in the season, and we are, I mean, here in Arizona, we're still stupid hot.
It's always hot.
And I feel like I'm always sweating because you don't have to have hot weather to sweat. If you're active, you're going to sweat. But sweat in a socket, I can't even tell you how many times this conversation comes up in the amputee circle. And how many times people are like, question mark, question mark, question mark. They don't know what to do with it. And it's different for everybody. Just like when you sweat, it's different for everybody. But that being said, I'm very curious why it came up as a topic that you were interested in and what you have noticed working with amputees, especially when you're working in PT with them. They are, especially newbies, are really working up a sweat because it's all new and they're working a lot harder than someone who's been doing their prosthetic work for years. What things are you noticing with the sweaty sockets?
Well, I think it was like you said, everyone, it's a different experience that they have with the sweat, especially being in Arizona. I thought it would be a great topic because people ask me questions about, they're feeling like their liner's slipping off, they're sweating so much. The end of the day, they're dumping water out of their socket, which, we naturally sweating is a good thing. That's how we filter out things. So it is good. I thought it would be good just for us to talk about different strategies to help manage the sweat, especially when it is summer. You're in maybe an area that's really humid. So just talking about different things that you've tried and things that have been recommended that might just help someone, give them another tool and thing to look into, ask questions about, because a lot of the people that I work with or talk to are in such a small rural area where they don't have the support like we do. So if we can just provide some sort of, just education, different things to try, that way they just have more in their toolbox and can ask their prosthetist these questions. Or if PTs are watching, maybe they'll have more in their tool belt. So when they get an amputee that does have a lot of excessive sweating, they can provide some education to them and give them ideas to try.
No, and I like that, and being so different, and even every socket being different, and below knee and above knee. Now, I want to go back to the origination of some of this stuff, because something I was reading an article about the other day, within the last week, was the fact that our physiology is different when we have lost body parts that help us cool. So we not only struggle with using more energy, the more joints, we are also our body doesn't know how to cool a space that's not there anymore. And so we're hotter, we run hotter. Can you enlighten a little bit more on that? Maybe the medical side that maybe
I think there's just, because you're missing a limb, you're missing some of those like sweat glands that would help you cool. So now everything is localized to one area versus it being distributed down your leg. So then this one focal area just gets really hot. And with the excessive energy you are expending from that limb now, your residual limb, and then there's just less surface area, there's increased sweat. Then you'll start to notice some of those socket issues happening.
Yeah. So right there, people need to understand that that's going to be a battle no matter what, because our physiology is different now. Our body type, our autonomy or anatomical body is different. We have to adjust. But I don't know if that will ever, 8 years and I still sweat the same amount I sweat since I started being an amputee. So I don't think that'll ever adjust. I don't think our body goes, oh, okay, let me regulate. I don't think it does. It regulates by sweating more.
Right. Well, there are different strategies now that people are using to help combat the sweating. One of them that's not really talked about a lot is Botox. So injecting Botox all over the residual limb can actually help turn off some of those sweat glands, just to help limit the excessive sweating. So I've seen it go both ways. One where It worked really well and it caused dryness and skin irritation because they weren't sweating enough. And
Okay.
then I've also seen it where it made significant improvements and there's some sweat still. They're still having a little bit of sweat in the socket, but it was no longer the piles of water, of sweat that you're dumping
Right.
out of your socket. So I think that one's the one that a lot of people don't know about that could potentially be an option for you if excessive sweating is something that's hindering you from wearing your socket for long periods of time and you live in an area where it's really humid, it's really hot, so you can't really like get away from not sweating.
Well, and I think that's interesting because someone did ask about that, and I was kind of hoping and probing people on social media, like if you've had experience with this, let me know. I'd love to hear your comments.
Hmm.
And so I had heard about that. Again, it you have to be, I would think, at a really high level of sweating that literally makes your socket fall off, that you would go to the extreme of injecting something into your body, right?
Hmm.
Because most of us are talking about liners,
Right. Yes.
which if you're skin fit, there's not a lot of options for me. Um, I don't want to put stuff on my body. So I know some people are like, oh, you can use this or this kind of antiperspirant,
Right.
um, and I'm like, okay, I don't want to put something on mine because I am just there, right? But I don't, and maybe I'm one of the few, but I don't, I mean, I sweat. Obviously, I just sweat. And if I'm hiking and I sweat, my leg will
Hmm.
turn. And really it's not so bad that all I do is maybe take it off, wipe it
Hmm.
out, dry off my leg, and put it back on so it's not towed in. And that's the only way I've ever dealt with it. I think
Hmm.
I'm fortunate that way. It doesn't mean I don't sweat. It's just that I don't sweat the buckets people are talking about. And
Right.
I think once I took my leg off and I did pour some sweat out, and my husband's like, whoa. Like, yeah, there was a pretty intense hike and hours of it, right?
Hmm.
In our sockets, what people maybe don't realize is that heat, it's like a conductor and it doesn't cool off. Like if you're outside in Arizona sun, even if you're just walking around and sitting in your hot car between stores, this thing warms up and it stays warm even after your body cools with air conditioning
Hmm.
in your building or car. Your socket is still hot, so it's still making that sweat happen, even just getting in and out of your car on a regular basis.
Hmm.
And so, I mean, I've heard of the Botox, I've heard of liners, I've heard of people using specific antiperspirants. Um, and again, to each his own. You've got to make sure you maybe, how they talk about like when you're shampooing your carpet, try a little space to make sure it doesn't do something. I would say don't slather anything on till you really
Right.
see how it works on your body. And then the Botox, I'm curious about because I mean, most people don't have excess money to be spending on. My God, we already spent money to get our deductible to get
Hmm.
the leg. Botox, is it covered? Does insurance respect that? Do they understand that? Is it really used for that?
It can be covered. It's one of those things where you have to try XYZ. If that doesn't work, then you can get this. Like when you're trying to get like that spinal cord stimulator in your back for
Yes.
pain management, you had to show that muscle relaxers didn't work, pain pills weren't enough, and you still had a lot of pain. So then this showed relief. So
Yeah.
now we can cover it. That's the same thing with Botox as well. Like if you've shown that you've tried antiperspirants, whether you have like skin irritation, you can't use it, or it's not sufficient, you've tried the liner, or the liner is not an option for you based on your suspension system, potentially, you could get Botox covered. And it's one of those things where your doctor could help you too, because if the insurance denies it, maybe they could do a peer to peer. And ask to talk to someone in the insurance that is knowledgeable in that area, and then they can discuss those risks and benefits. And that's I don't think a lot of people use that. Like once they get that initial denial, people are like, okay, whatever, which is
Right.
what insurance wants you to do. They want you to be like,
Yep.
that's why they're so vague about everything,
Yep.
because if they were, kind of like black and white, they would be approving a lot more things. But because
Yeah.
it's that gray area, they're hoping you won't do anything. But if you request a peer to peer, you have your doctor on board, they're talking about all the benefits, and then if you try it and it works and it's a way for you to stay active, the Your gait speed is another vital sign. They're calling that the sixth vital sign. So if you're able to get to walking and keep that mobility, you're less likely to be in the hospital.
Yeah.
And your life expectancy is supposed to be significantly higher with
Yeah.
your gait speed and being able to be up and mobile. So a
Yeah.
couple $100s of Botox or whatever it costs, might be worth it compared to the alternative of not being able to walk.
Do you know anything? I mean, have you witnessed Botox working for one of your patients? And is it a one and done, or is that something that needs to be done like every 6 months or something?
So I have one patient, like I mentioned, so I've only had two people do it. It's not as common. I think more research is emerging and people are starting to, recommend it to people now that they're
Yeah.
seeing that it could work. One of my patients, he said the doctor is using him as his guinea pig
No.
because he has never done Botox in the residual limb for sweating. So they like mapped out his leg and they did like hundreds of sites all over the residual limb, kind of like a net. So they like
Yeah.
mapped it out and did tons of spots, and it's working really well. Where he is sweating still, but not to the extent where it's causing excessive movement. And then they noticed that like higher up, he's still sweating, so they're gonna try to go up a little bit higher to see if that'll help. But yeah, like I haven't had a whole bunch of people try it because I think it's also something that's like it's scary having a whole bunch of needle, like poked in you
Yeah.
and getting
Yeah.
stuff injected. Like people don't always like that, but it does wear off. Same with like it's the same Botox you use.
Okay.
You would that temporary paralysis of that movement. So it just blocks like those receptors for the movement. So it would do the same thing there. So within it would last probably 2 to 3 months or so, and
Yeah.
then you would have to go in and keep getting it done.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's going to be one of those things that I'm hearing more about it. And I think as time goes on, you might start seeing more doctors utilizing it. Is it plastic surgeons that are doing it? What kind of doctors are
Uh,
using it? Do you know?
I don't remember what doctor did it,
I'll have to check
honestly.
that out. I'd
Yeah,
like to
I
have a
would assume so.
conversation.
Yeah.
Just information is that knowledge. Having that knowledge gives you at least um, options, right?
Mhm.
Um, and I know, I mean, as much as I know it's a hot topic to talk about the sweat and how do you handle it, if it is like disabling you to the point where you can't keep a socket on, then that's an extreme. There's probably only a handful of amputees, when you think about all of them, that really
Mhm.
have an extreme amount. And they may be the same people that, like my kids growing up, they went through a phase of really sweating through their
Yeah.
young years, and they were able to handle it with a prescription level
Mhm.
antiperspirant. And I'm just curious, like, I would like to know because, like I said, I don't really have a big problem. Worst case scenario, literally in probably the 7.5 years, I've maybe taken my leg off 3 or 4 times ever to dry
Mhm.
it out and replace it. And the only reason I took it off, not because it was falling off, but because it had moved so much because of the activity I was doing that I
Mhm.
couldn't walk straight. And I'm like, well, I might as well take it off. Well, while it's off, might as well dry it out. And it
Mhm.
was, I personally just keep a towel with me. I actually use the kind of towels you would use to keep your neck cool that
Mhm.
absorb more water. That's a great towel to have on, and it's lightweight. That thing travels with me everywhere I go. It's in my travel bag. It's in my car bag. It's always with me because you just don't know when you are going to have a spiked time when you're outside or something warms your
Mhm.
body up a lot. But that's as far as I've ever had to go with it. But I do know when people talk about it, I get the sense that it's more annoying than it
Mhm.
is disabling.
Mhm.
Like, I don't know anybody that's not functioning or wearing their socket because they've sweat too much.
Mhm.
I would say those people should actually do some research on the Botox because
Mhm.
I think whether you agree with it or not, injecting stuff, you need to know the pros and cons.
Yeah.
Um, But I also feel the same way about actually putting a coating of something on a sweaty limb because you could block pores, you could create sores or wounds because of the way it's reacting to your liner or your inside your
Mhm.
socket. So that's a tough one. I mean, this is really a hard topic because it is obviously something we all do. It's human nature to our cooling system is
Mhm.
we sweat, and we sweat more because of the heavy duty material on our body. if we're active and we just normally sweat, we're sweating more through our socket. I don't know what else people can do besides those. And the liner, I'm thinking is a kind of thin sock that goes on your leg
Yes.
first, and then the liner goes on, and then the
Yes.
socket.
Yes. Which is a nice way, it's an easy, cheap, well, I don't know how much they cost actually, but you can get it from your prosthetist, ask for one and see if it
Yeah.
works. There's people that love it and people that hate it. Some people, it's a nice way to, if they have very sensitive skin, the liner irritates the skin. It's a nice barrier between the two.
Yeah.
However, because your liner is not on your skin, it can cause some slipping of the liner as well if you end up
Mhm.
sweating too much. So that's the one thing where some people might love it because their skin's not getting irritated, it's not rubbing, it's a nice barrier, it's absorbing the moisture. But then other times I've heard people say no, it doesn't, it actually makes their leg fall off more because there's no direct skin contact.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm telling you, Jack, this is one of those real big bugaboos with amputees because it's half a dozen one, six to
Yeah,
another. Because if you put something on your body, it's going to make your socket and everything fit differently, feel
right,
differently. And people talk about the sweat helps, like it makes their socket fall off or
right,
shift, but so could something like that. And same
yeah,
with a product you rub on, that could make you slick. It could make you chalky. It could, like, I guess I'm grateful I haven't had to just deal with
mhm,
heavy duty sweating. And until you know what the Botox does, and there's no long-term studies, you just take that with a grain of salt. Maybe try it if you're allowed to try it.
right. And I think that's always the steps, right? Try the easy stuff first. Like, first
Yeah,
thing, will a liner work for me? That's
yeah,
maybe your prosthetist has it. Just try it.
yeah.
See, does that work? And then there's those antiperspirants. They have the prescription ones too. From what I've been told, some people typically do it at night
Yes,
versus doing it right before their socket. So that way your skin has time to absorb it. And then the next day when they're putting on their leg, they're not applying anything. It's done the night before.
that's true. And that's exactly what a prescription one does for if you have a lot of excess sweating
Yeah.
with your armpits. That's the same thing. They do it after shower at night.
Yes.
And then they can reapply it, but I think it works better every night. You have to keep up with that.
Mm-hmm.
Again, though, like
Yeah.
my personal preference, because I'm a bare minimum person, like I don't want pain meds in me. I want to deal with things naturally. It sucks. It truly does. It's one more step that people don't know amputees deal with. It's just take it off, dry it out, put it back on. And I'm
Yeah.
the last person that wants to do that. I hate taking mine off. I will deal with a millimeter off,
I know
my
I've seen
switchy.
you.
And I'm like,
You're like, I
it's
put my
staying
leg
on.
on
I
it,
don't
I'm
care.
not taking it.
I'm not taking it off. I hate taking it off. I mean, I have to be really upset with the way it feels to take it off in the morning. But I usually can tell in the bathroom right then and there, I'm like, oh, I didn't put it on correctly. And
Hmm.
I'll do it again, which drives me nuts. But if I'm telling you, best case scenario is if you notice it, and I'm, like I said, I'm skin fit and I feel like I'm the slickest of all things.
Hmm.
If I sweat inside that slimy
Hmm.
plastic covering, I'm going to move. I've never felt like my leg's going to fall off, but by the end of the day, I don't use my valve. It just slides right off. So
Hmm.
it's really weird physics on how it stays on. And it's just a matter of, can you handle it? Is it good enough? Did it just shift your toe in or out because of what you're
Hmm.
doing? And if that's the case, just take it off, dry your leg. That is the most natural thing to do. It just stinks because it is another step in your day. And maybe you just, like, you're wearing pants. That's not an easy task to do. You have to use a bathroom. You have to take your pants down. You have to pull, if
Right.
you're at work. It's an
Right. And
uncomfortable
it's that comfort
situation.
level too. Some people are really comfortable with showing the residual limb in public, and other
Right.
people don't like
Exactly.
to show it either. So being able to be comfortable and pretty much taking part of your clothes off in public to adjust your leg is another thing.
Right. And
Yeah.
that and that and okay, so let's take this into another aspect, because obviously everybody understands if you go and work out or do a walk, a run, if you're doing anything that makes you sweat, any physical activity, you're going to sweat more in your prosthetic. You just will. It's going to be a lot more than a normal walking around your house doing your errands.
Mhm.
That's natural. So then you have to ask yourself, like, is that enough just warranting, or are you just looking for perfect? And I think we need to shy away from that. Interestingly enough, I was just talking to people about this. Like, we have to stop as amputees. I think we need to stop trying to normalize our life back to what it used to be, and start looking at what it really is now, and embracing where we're at and where we're going forward. We will never be the people we are. Even my walk, as hard as I work on my gait, and I think of you every time I walk, because my butt is weak. Let's go, lunge it and walk. You'll walk better. And I think of Jackie when I do this. Jackie, you're on my mind when I think of my butt. I don't know. I don't know if that's a
Good.
good thing.
That's what people tell. I love it. I get
But
all
I
these
do. I'm like,
messages when people are like, my wife said my butt's growing or my glutes feel nice. That's my favorite.
there you go. Hey, if I can help in that capacity, awesome. But I also know that, like, no matter how hard we try, right? We're never going to be. We have to find what our new normal is.
Yeah.
That goes for everything as an amputee. It's the way we pack when we travel. It's the way we walk. It's the way we run, work out, how we deal with sweat. It's every aspect. We aren't the people we are. Our bodies are trying to adapt to a missing part. So, and I don't know why I didn't really understand that or know this till I read that article, that of course we're going to sweat more. We're missing the part of our body that helps cool us. And so we're going to hold heat on. They said stuff like amputees tend to be rate higher in their body temperatures because of
Hmm.
missing parts. And the more you're missing, the more you're going to heat up. And so I'm like, okay, that all makes sense. Okay, and that's probably why we sweat more on our leg than we
Hmm.
did before. But even with travel, like, so we're going to be traveling this next week. I'm going to be gone for quite a while, and I'm going to be moving. It's a lot of walking, and I'm going to have to put in my mind the be ready, set, and go for a sweaty leg. Will I be okay where I'm at, taking my leg off in public? Make sure I have that towel with me. Make sure I have the stuff. I bring my salve everywhere I go, because if I sweat and
Hmm.
then my socket starts to rub, then I start getting a raw mark in
Hmm.
the spots I do not want raw marks. And so those are the new norms. And I think the sweating is just, if people knew that our bodies were reacting to the change, like, we always talk about our physical body, we talk about the emotion of it, the mental side of it, getting over all that hard stuff. But now we're talking about the anatomy and how our anatomy's changed in that respect, and how our body copes. That's like a whole nother part that I hadn't really even given much thought to until the sweating comes up in every conversation,
Yeah.
especially during the summer. But holy cow. And I think you just have to be ready for sweat and wipe it off and move on.
And I think it's like that for every like a new diagnosis. If something happened to you, like you have to find your new routine of what you're
Yeah.
doing.
Yeah.
And it's different than whatever it was you were doing before. Say you become diagnosed with diabetes and now you have to wear a monitor and you have to have your insulin with you. You can't go
Yeah.
anywhere without that stuff. Or if you
Right.
have an allergy, you need to make sure you always have your EpiPen. You need to read ingredients on things. If you can't have, if you have celiac,
Yeah.
you have to ask these questions. Like it's not
Yes.
just as easy as it was maybe once before. It's like we're all going to go through certain changes
Hmm.
that disrupt our routine, and we just have to, adapt and create those new routines. And it takes some trial and error to find what works for you. And it's
Yeah.
different for every person, and it could, like we always say, for pain, phantom pain, and it could be different day by day. Maybe for a period of time this antiperspirant works really well, then maybe
Hmm.
your body starts to get adjusted to it, and then a few months down the line you notice it's
Right.
not as effective as it once was, or your limb is starting to you're going through a period, you're really active, your limb is shrinking, and then you're having more issues with it, or maybe you're not
Yeah.
sweating it. So so it's like there'll constantly be change, and being open to those new adaptations and it'll be a constant like trying to figure out what works for you. And I think it's always do research, see what other people are doing, and not get frustrated that if something doesn't work for you like it did for someone else.
Oh, for
Just
sure.
be more
Because
like open for information, like just be happy to have another thing to try.
well, and you said it right. Like everything that we do to battle anything seems to adjust depending on the situation in the day. So phantom pain remedies one day don't work the next time you have one,
Hmm.
like an episode. I would guess it would be the same with pretty much everything. Like,
Hmm.
I mean, think about when you just a normal two-legged person, you get
Hmm.
a headache, you might take Tylenol. Well, maybe next week you get a really bad stress headache and the Tylenol didn't touch it. I
Hmm.
mean, that's just our body, right? And so
Hmm.
I guess that's why I've always tried to approach things. And I guess maybe I can say I'm lucky enough to be able to. I try to do things as naturally as I can because I
Hmm.
know my mindset and the way I think about things that I can control,
Hmm.
that I can adjust depending on the situation. But Tylenol is still Tylenol. That antiperspirant is still that antiperspirant. It never changes. But my mindset can be stronger one day when I need it to be.
Hmm.
And some days I'm not going to be as strong to handle something, but I can adjust it. Like, you know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like, I think natural. I've been on too many pain meds over the years before the amputation that
Yeah.
I know you need it, especially at the beginning with breakthrough pain. I'm all for that. But I was always very fearful of any addiction that might happen
Hmm.
or occur that maybe I couldn't control. And I had one episode that I didn't even know I was going to have, and it came out of left field and knocked me hard on my butt. And it was the scariest moment I ever had, which gave me a very healthy respect for what opioids could do to a human. And
Hmm.
I just, from that point out, I'm like, if I can handle it myself, I'm going to just handle it. And that's why I like sweat. What I would really love to pose to people watching this live, or anybody that watches the recording, is to add in the comments what you have used, what you have tried, and what your biggest concerns are. Because I bet there is several people out there that literally can't use their socket because it doesn't stay on because there's so much sweat. I would love to hear from those people. Like,
Yeah.
what have you tried? What do you need help connecting the dots to get you to be able to wear it? Because I want everybody to be mobile like you
Hmm.
do. I want everybody to be successful and live their life, not feel a prisoner to being an amputee, because you don't have to live in that space. But if there is an external thing happening to you that
Hmm.
you can't figure out, reach out to us. Let's crack that code together, because I think our two heads together in the amputee community and the physical therapy community and bringing doctors in, we're going to figure this out, right? It's just a matter
Hmm.
of people are now actually doing activities as amputees,
Right.
so now sweat has become more of an issue.
Yeah. And I'm
And
always for the all natural way too. Because I had a conversation with one of my patients and we talk a lot about non-toxic living, like low tox life, right?
yeah,
Like limiting what we're putting ingredients on our bodies, all that stuff.
yeah,
If you can't pronounce it, you probably shouldn't put it in your body.
yeah.
However,
Good.
however,
I want to hear
if
this.
there is something that makes your life easier,
Mm-hmm.
like if it is an antiperspirant that you put on your limb at night and it helps you walk, be able to do all the things, go to work, then I would rather you do that. And then you try to be healthier in other aspects in your life.
Yeah,
Like there's
very
always a
true.
give and take. Like we can't
I
be
agree.
100% non-toxic as much as we want to. We're exposed, like just being on, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, like everything.
Yes.
But and everything we eat, things like that. There's always things in our food. So I mean, if there's one thing that that makes your life easier, then
Yeah.
go for it, and then just keep being healthier in other areas, but don't feel
Yeah.
bad about, or if
Nope.
it's a pain medication that you're on a really low dose and
Yeah.
it's helping you go to work and you're working towards weaning off and trying to find more other alternative therapies, like don't feel guilty about those things when you are trying and working your way towards that natural route.
Of course, right. And sometimes you can be on that natural route and something throws you for a loop and you are desperate
Hmm.
and you need something to help you get through. But I'm curious, and not even thinking about this, I'm just curious why you might think the sweating thing has become more and more of a hot topic. Do you think it's because their prosthetics are getting better and therefore people are seeing more people, social media in a good
Mhm.
way, influencing, oh, we can do that, we can do that, we can do that. All of a sudden amputees aren't just like, they're not disabled people, they're
Mhm.
just differently abled people doing life different.
Mhm.
But really, I mean, I see so many people working out and doing activities that would cause you to sweat more. Do you think it has to do with that, the rise in technology and visual?
I just think it's more so people are more open about it. I think the rise in amputations has increased significantly
Yes, it
with a
has.
lot of it being, related to diabetes, arterial disease. So we're
Hmm.
projected to like double the amount of amputees you see because of that. So I just feel like there's just a lot more amputees now in the world and a lot more people being vocal about the struggles of it and then people using social media, internet to ask questions. Now I feel
Yeah.
like now we know some of the questions people are asking versus before people might have not been as comfortable being, as an amputee sharing that like it's something that's personal, that you're
Yeah.
sweating a lot, you don't want to talk about it, you think it's gross and people are not going to like you because you sweat a lot in your socket, like all these stories that we make
Yeah.
up in our own head about everything. So I just feel like a lot more people are open. Social media has given
Mhm.
us that space to talk about real things that happen and struggles that happen. So I just think that's really brought us,
Yeah.
about these things that people struggle with on a daily basis.
Well, and to your point on that, it's true. Like, I mean, that's one of the reasons why I have my women's group. So, ladies, if you're on and you're an amputee and you want a place to feel safe to talk about the really gross things, especially, or the intimate things, we had a conversation about shower taking today,
Mhm.
um, and all of a sudden we were realizing how everybody deals with getting in and out of showers or traveling and getting in and out of bathrooms that
Mhm.
may not be, when they call it ADA friendly, they're not
They're
so
not really.
ADA friendly. And not because they don't try, but because you're used to one way and it's still really hard to get used to a different way.
Mhm.
When you get used to one way of getting in and out of a shower or a bathtub, and then you go someplace else, one rail does not make it easier, it just makes it different and a little bit more
Mhm.
difficult at first. So it's interesting. And yeah, we'd love to have people, women, join us because we do have those kind of conversations where we do talk about sweat. We do talk
Mhm.
about the stuff that, we don't want to, I don't talk to my husband about how much I sweat. And he's my husband. We've been together since we were teenagers, but
Uh-huh.
he don't want to hear about his wife all sweaty and gross and the smell of my socket at the end of the
Mhm.
day. I don't even like saying that. I can't believe I just said that now, but it's true. Like, there's so much bacteria that, you got to be
Mhm.
able to clean it out. You got to take a good shower. You got to wash it off. And then you start again the next day and you sweat
Mhm.
again in the next day. And so, yeah, it is. I think you're right. I think we're talking about things more. It's not taboo. It's not disgusting. It's just,
Mhm.
it's real. It's a real discussion about the real things so that we can be active and we can live a life that's
Mhm.
um, fulfilling.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but I really think, and if we want to wrap it up on this, I really would love people's take. I reached out to some groups and just said, tell me, how do you deal with sweat? What do
Yeah.
you like to use? Are you still struggling? What do you want to know more about? Any of those things, please throw them in our comments on this video because I know Jackie would address them. If I see anything and I know anything, I'll address the questions, the comments. I will keep a running list. If you have
Yeah.
things that have worked, I like to share that on social media because there's
Same.
someone there waiting for an answer that they don't know how to ask or are afraid to ask.
Mhm.
And we just need to shed light so that everyone can live their best life.
Absolutely. Yeah. I definitely would love to know too, because I tried to keep, the list of things so that
Yeah.
way when someone asks me, and if I hear like regular things that people are saying, then I'll share that. Like I know certain dry is one that our prosthetist
Yes.
friends will tell us about. So I know that one's out there. I think it's prescription antiperspirant that I know a lot of people like. So if you use certain dry, and you love it, let us know. If you use other ones that you found that are really helpful or other
Yes.
things, we definitely want to know because we want to help
Yeah.
you guys as much as possible.
Yeah, the people want to know. And Jackie,
People want to
you and
know.
I should put our list together and let's make a post of things
Mhm.
to try before you get to your wits end and you don't wear your socket. because that's not what we want for you. We want you to be active and moving about in the world. And yes, we are starting to get into fall. Granted, here in Arizona, we won't feel fall temperatures for
70
another few
degrees.
months. Not for a while. I think we still have some time. My kid keeps going, I think it's going down. I'm like, I don't think so.
Yeah. Well, they said starting next month, all of the months end in burr.
Yeah, not here. We won't feel burr until about January. Once the burrs are done.
I used to have pictures of me, literally, I'm about to give birth, and I'm wearing like, I was very pregnant. I'm in shorts and a tank top, and she was born October 29th. So,
yeah.
And on my birthday, I'm always wearing some sort of shorts and tank top on November 1st.
Yeah, no, October, Halloween.
It's hot.
You can't
Maybe
dress
Halloween
your kids.
night might be a little bit like 70s.
Maybe. About midnight or so.
Yeah.
Well, Jackie, another great conversation, another great talk. I think there is definitely some validity to keeping this conversation going, getting some people's comments. I'm going to keep kind of raking through the coals on that in social media to pull out some people's ideas. And they're, like I said, tips, tricks. How do you handle it? What products you use? Have you done Botox? Tell me about your experience with it. Any of those, throw into our comments here on this video. Please, please, please. We'd love to hear all the different ways people have tried to address sweating. And we will use that for good. Yeah?
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, it's been fabulous once again. Unlimited Conversations. Like I was saying at the beginning, we did do a week earlier this month because I will be out of town, but we're the last Wednesday, and we're usually at 3 o'clock our time, 7 o'clock.
6 o'clock Eastern.
6 o'clock Eastern time. So this is a different week and a different time. Our apologies.
It was a surprise live for you guys.
Yes. Aren't you guys happy?
You're
love
welcome.
to give surprises. You're welcome. You're welcome. We like to do that to you. So yeah, I hope you have a great rest of your month. Everybody listening, we'll come back with stronger topics and more. If you have some ideas that you'd like to share with us, of things you'd like to know more about, that a PT and an amputee can have a conversation about, let's go. Share ideas, thoughts, topics.
Absolutely. And if you ever need additional support, you want to improve your walking mobility, want to work with someone, please reach out to me. I would love to help you. I have a coaching application in my profile. Fill it out. It helps me know more about you and get a better idea if I can help. If you want to join a women's group, you want more support and really just have that motivation and guidance, hit up Angie. Both of us, whatever you guys need, we're here for you.
Definitely. And Jackie's an amazing PT. Like I said, when I clench my butt, I think of Jackie. I mean, that's the highest compliment you can pay a PT for amputees. So thanks, Jackie. We'll see you next month here on Limited Conversations. Talk to you soon.
Bye.